Over the last decade, we've seen a massive increase in the number of different plug-in models on the market. We've seen a similar rise, nay, an explosion of electric car adoption rates around the world. And with every new generation of plug-in car, we're seeing the range offered on a single charge get higher and higher, while charge times get shorter and shorter. If you're into electric vehicles, well, we're at a good point in history. But as recent data from the California New Car Dealer Association highlights, while the number of people buying a plug-in car is most definitely on the rise, a large number of new electric car owners are actually existing hybrid car owners simply upgrading to fully electric models, not existing internal combustion engine customers making the larger jump from petrol or diesel to electric. Sure, incentives work. We've seen that around the world. But there's still a reluctance among many buyers to make that commitment to dump the pump for good. Sometimes it's because they're worried about infrastructure, such as the lack of available public charging stations to use. Sometimes it's because there's not a model that meets their needs with an electric drivetrain. And sometimes it's because of the higher sticker price that most electric cars still have when compared to internal combustion engine rivals. Yes, prices have come down and there's more choice than ever before, but electric vehicles still represent a very small part of the new car marketplace. Yes, cars like the Tesla Model S, Model X and Model 3, as well as the Tesla Roadster before them, have done a lot of good in changing customer opinions about electric cars. In fact, recent surveys highlight that while consumers aren't buying plug-in vehicles en masse yet, most now have a far more positive response to plug-in cars than they once did. Yet they're still not ready to dump the pump, worried about range and running out of charge. One answer to this, of course, is the plug-in hybrid. Traditionally, that's referred to a car with the capability of operating in all-electric mode for between 10 and 30 miles at 16 to 48 kilometers before turning on a conventional internal combustion engine to finish the trip. Cheaper than fully electric models because they leverage existing engine technology and a smaller battery pack despite being more mechanically complex, they've sat in the market between internal combustion engine models and fully electric ones. Some, like the first-generation Toyota Prius plug-in hybrid, sold pretty well, leveraging existing customer loyalty to offer a little more fuel economy for not a whole lot more sticker price. Others became little more than compliance cars, existing to basically meet zero-emission mandates and cash in on incentives in key market areas. But for the most part, all of them were shunned by hardened EV enthusiasts because after a short distance they would turn on their internal combustion engine and become just another polluting vehicle. They were often compromised in their design with less load carrying capability than either fully electric or internal combustion engine models and had pretty paltry onboard charging capabilities. In a world where 70 to 100 miles per charge electric cars were the norm, plug-in hybrids were very much the poor cousin in many people's minds. But something's happened of late, and I think it's something we as an industry and enthusiasts aren't giving enough attention to. Next generation, longer range plug-in hybrids that offer ranges in excess of 50 miles, that's 80 kilometers, per charge. And I'm going to say something that many of you may find controversial. I think these cars are really going to be the magic bullet to getting people transitioning to fully electric models. Think about it. When shorter range plug-in hybrid cars hit the market, they were in essence asking customers to add a few $1,000s to the price of an internal combustion engine vehicle for very limited all-electric range. If that car was driven more than about 25 or 30 miles in a day, its engine would kick in. But with these new range of plug-in hybrids coming to market, like the BMW X5 45e iPerformance and the Honda Clarity PHEV, not to mention the second-gen Chevy Volt, which, yes, I know most of you will consider an electric car with a range extender, the likelihood of your average person exceeding the electric range of their car on a daily basis is far, far reduced. For example, my commute is on the long side. It's roughly 30-mile round trip. That's pretty much empty on previous gen plug-in hybrids. With larger capacity models, I'd still have 20 miles left at the end of the day for errands. In an older plug-in hybrid, that engine would kick in pretty much every day. In a 50-plus mile plug-in hybrid, I might only use the engine once a week. And therein is the key. By extending the all-electric range, these new plug-in hybrids get people used to plugging in every night and visiting the petrol station less and less. And if they learn that 50 miles is all they really need in electric-only mode most of the time, which I think they will, they'll soon get tired of having to pay a whole lot more to fill up on petrol on longer range trips. And eventually, that resentment will lead to them dumping the pump and getting an all-electric model for their next car. In an ideal world, of course, everyone would be able to make that switch without a plug-in hybrid. Yes, There are nationwide plug-agnostic charging networks popping up in many countries around the world, including the US. But even they are not reliable yet. You've only got to look at some of the negative reports Electrify America's early charging stations are getting to see that. Sadly, the reality is that unless you live in an area with a bunch of reliable, redundant charging infrastructure, long-distance trips still aren't super easy in an electric car, unless you can afford a Tesla. And while Teslas are great and have supercharging, they don't meet everyone's needs and they come with a hefty, hefty price tag. So you have to ask yourself the following question. What's better? A customer buying a plug-in hybrid with a 50-mile, 80-kilometre range that suits their needs 90% of the time in electric-only mode and then forces them to burn fossil fuels once or twice a month for longer trips, and then, when it's time to sell on, encourages the owner to buy a fully electric model, or someone sticking with a fossil fuel vehicle because they're too scared to switch, or worse still, someone buying an electric car after having a fantastic test drive and good reviews, only to discover that the local charging infrastructure is too poor to reliably use on long-distance trips, forcing them to dump electric cars the next time they buy and revert to fossil fuels, leaving a terrible taste in their mouth. No, I'm not trying to talk smack on EVs. I've driven them for years and I don't ever see myself going back, but I have experienced several events which, had I not been such a fan, would have probably clouded my judgment going forward. Am I right? Am I wrong? Are longer range plug-in hybrids the perfect transition vehicles we've been waiting for? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. That's it. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.